Welcome along, everybody, to the beautiful Mexico City. This is stage 3 of the Lgct Global Champions Tour. And what a beautiful, vibrant, colorful stage this is turning out to be. If you've only joined us now, you missed out on a fantastic Global Champions League day yesterday. But do not fear, do not worry, because we have arguably an even better Lgct Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of Mexico City still to come today. My name is Mark Lewis. This is GCTV. And here in the city of Mexico, we have a lot to talk about. We need to bring you up to speed. The fact that Michael Duffy was the winner on Clapham Mush back in Miami in the previous stage. Eduardo Alvarez Asna is your current Lgct championship leader. But here in Mexico City, we'll learn more about the mariachi bands and also the very important meaning behind the sombrero. Frederick Tabaka and Rosie Tapner are standing by. And we also chat to Julian Acatin. If you recall, he spoke to us a little bit last week after that great performance in Miami. We catch up with him once again to find out how he's feeling after changing surfaces from the small intimate sand ring in Miami to this giant grass ring here in Mexico City. But first, let's talk about this sombrero. Let's find out the importance of its meaning. As always, Rosie Tapner standing by for us, and I believe she may have some memorabilia already. Rosie Tapner, oh my goodness, you look great. The sombrero, talk to us about it. That is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I tell you what, we need it today as well. It's creating a lovely bit of shade for me. And that's actually where it comes from. The word sombra in it means shade, and that's where it came from back in the 15th century. Workmen and riders as well used to wear these to create shade for them so they could ride for longer, they could work for longer as well. And I tell you what, I think I might keep this one all day, but by the end of the day, I'm going to need to give this one back because this is a very special one. You can see at the top of the hat, it says Lgct on it. The winner of today, everyone on the podium will be wearing this sombrero. It's very special, but I have to say I'll be very gutted to give it back because it's really nice currently. We've got a lovely crowd here today as well. As you can see, it's really buzzing down here. And I just want to speak to a couple of them here because I know you've come from a really long way away today.
I come all the way from Colombia just to see my favorite riders here in Mexico.
And who are your favorite riders?
Edwina, I love Edwina. She's my favorite.
And do you follow the tour the rest of the season?
No, just Mexico because it's close from home. I'm from Colombia.
Amazing. Well, it's lovely to have you here. And I know we've also got a few here from Mexico itself. How are you enjoying yourself?
It's very nice, I think, but
It's great to have this competition here in Mexico.
And which riders are you looking out for today?
Carlos Hank definitely is the best of the best.
You'll be cheering him on, I know, and I know the rest of the crowd here will also be cheering on, particularly those local riders today, Mark.
Fans for Edwina Tops Alexander, fans for Carlos Hank Guerrero, and fans of the official sombrero. Thank you very much, Rosie Tapner. I too want to get my hands on a Lgct sombrero. I want to know who I can speak to, who can put one in my bag. It's not going to fit in my bag going back home, I'll tell you that. But that is part of the energy, it is part of the excitement, it is part of the color and the culture here of Mexico City. And before we dive further and deeper into stage 3 here, important for us to just take a moment to look back as to what happened on stage 2 in Miami Beach a couple of days ago. Let's flash back to Miami Beach.
Welcome to the Sunshine State of Florida and to Miami Beach for the second Grand Prix of this season of the Lgct Global Champions Tour. Julian Acatin, lightning fast horses, Blood Diamond Dupont, and gets straighter, and that's a better approach than Simon de Lestres. Oh, but now it is the front rail, and so now the French are in a battle with each other. Duffy. Clear will be enough for the lead. The last fence coming up, not as fast as Acatin, but here's a double clear. Clapton Mush and Michael Duffy have jumped double clear in the Miami Beach Grand Prix and have now taken the lead. What a performance. I'll take about that, Michael Duffy. Aznar on the inside rein. Smart and sharp over that oxer. A second and a half in front. Oh, it's gone. No, no, no. It will not be a victory for Eduardo Alvarez Asnar as the Liverpool vertical. Max Kühner. And Kühner now trying to get home as fast as possible to also have a chance at podium. Can he get in front of Acatin? Yes, he can. It is second place for Max Kühner. Duffy wins his first Lgct Global Champions Tour Grand Prix on Clapton Mush. What a story here in Miami.
It's been a while coming now. It's about bloody time. got her finger out and did something. But yeah, it's amazing. Like, I'm a bit lost for words right now.
What a performance from Michael Duffy. First ever Lgct Grand Prix victory in the bag. And the big news is that there was an elimination for Michael Duffy yesterday, so he will not be able to make a 2 from 2. There's some other really big names that have been left off today's Grand Prix list, and we'll get to those in a few moments' time. But we talk about Eduardo Alvarez Asna, arguably the big winner of Miami. Despite not winning the overall title, he goes on to lead the championship race after stage 3. Rosie Tapner caught up with our current Lgct championship leader, Eduardo Alvarez Asna.
Talking about the championship, and I have the current championship leader next to me now, Eduardo Asna. Championship leader coming into Mexico City. Does that play on your mind as you go into the arena today?
Well, it's very important to be a leader. There's only been 2 shows for the moment, and but okay, to stand there, it's very important. We need to keep going and try to make a good result today and keep in the top positions for the rest of the season.
Going into the arena today then, do you ride it differently knowing that you're at the top of the championship, you want to stay there, or do you carry on riding aggressively and you just want to win?
Well, no, actually I want to do as best as I can. I'm going to try to go clear and try to do a good Grand Prix. The horse feels good. He's been performing in a very good position now for the last show, so I hope today he can be the same.
It was a big second round in the GCL yesterday. How has Rockefeller come out of that?
Okay, I had 2 down yesterday. Actually, I was happy how the horse jumped. I hope today he's in good condition and he performs as good as in Miami or in Doha.
Going into today then, do you take anything from yesterday going into that arena today? Anything you might change or do the same?
I will try to do the same, but leave the poles up. It's the main thing. The horse, as I said, he felt very good. It was a tough course and he didn't jump the day before, so maybe he was a little bit out of rhythm. Normally it's a horse that he needs to jump quite a lot to feel in his best shape. So I hope that today he can do it.
Well, we hope for your sake as well that you can do it as well and see you at the top of the championship at the end of Mexico City as well. I wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you very much.
You see the smile on the face of Eduardo Alvarez Asna. He will be competing with the Longines armband today as your championship leader. So because of that, let's give it more context. Let's show you what the overall ranking looks like of the Lgct season thus far after the opening 2 stages in Doha and in Miami. It's very, very tight, we must say. Eduardo Alvarez Asna on 62 points, and Max Kuhne just 1 point behind on 61. No Christian Kukuk here this weekend, so he will not be able to cash in, and Michael Duffy, we remind you, has not qualified, so he will not have the opportunity to make up some ground. Some other big names that are not available, as we said, a handful of big riders not present here. Harry Allen and of course Marcus Eining not available either, so it does make for an interesting opportunity for some of the big riders to really cash in and make up some ground. Remember, there is no Lorenzo De Luca, no Daniel Deusser, no Christian Alman, who did qualify but now elects not to compete. So for the likes of Marlon Bayer-Johnson, for Julien Acata, this is an opportunity to make up some big ground on the Longines Global Champions Tour. That is what the current ranking looks like, and a look at our top 16 riders after the second leg of the 15 of this season. The big question now becomes, who are the favorites for today? Who then can take advantage of that championship table? Who can make up some big ground? Frederick de Backer standing by for us. Frederick, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of Mexico City. Who have you identified as the riders to look out for today?
Well, Mark, I've picked different horses and rider combinations that I picked in Mexico City, mainly, of course, because we are on a different ring, different venue, but lots of the horses and riders are the same, so I did mix it up a little bit. Let's have a look at who came out for me as the big favorites. As you can see, my 8 favorites, it's very heavy at the end of this Grand Prix. Number 31, 33, 35, 36, and 37. Dennis Lynch is actually the last to go as number 37 in this competition. But I've got 2 somewhat outsiders. Katin Eckermann and Kalamandia early to go came out with 8 penalties from the qualifier. Why is she in? Well, she's struggling for form, remarkably. She's been waiting for some good clears now for quite a while. But what I saw from the mare over the weekend really gave me the feeling that she's working, she's getting athletic. I think she can pull this off. And that's the same for Erin Bayard and Libido van het Hofke. That's really my dark horse. Really impressed by how the horse has jumped here over the weekend. And this could just very well go their way. Also, because I already had a look at the course plan, and we need some really powerful horses, some really big jumpers to jump clear over this course. If you take Eckermann and Bayard out, then you come into the more common horses and rider combinations. Ben Meer with Point Break, who I did not pick yet for Miami. Put him in now as a favorite. Simon Lester with Aya Melusina is in great form. And then those last 3. Well, highest rated horse is Marley Bayard Johnson with H&M Indiana. Richard Vogel, of course, is a newcomer with Cepano Balubert, of course, because the transfer in the Global Champions League stage and the Global Champions League team of Riesenbeck International and Dennis Lynch with Brooklyn Heights. They were already third here a couple of years ago. It was 2 years ago, if I recall well. And they should have won that Grand Prix, actually. Dennis Lynch won the Grand Prix qualifier. He won the class before as well. He's on fire. Owner of the horse is here. That's why I've got Dennis Lynch also on my list. And then one name, Jose Antonio Chedraui Eguia with H. Lucky Reto, a horse with a remarkable pedigree with a sire who didn't really do so much, but the horse itself is in fantastic form. I've enjoyed watching it over the weekend so far, and I believe that Jose Antonio Chedraui Eguia is a pair to watch with that horse with H. Lucky Reto. Well, Mark, 8 picks. We can only have one winner. But I do hope that at least 4 of my 8 make it into the jump-off.
Oh, that is a big call. He wants 50% of his favorites into the jump-off, ladies and gentlemen. That is a very, very brave call from Frederick de Backer. We will hold him to account by the end of the night. Thank you very much, Frederick. We'll come back to you in a few moments' time to find out more about the course and the Lgct riders today, and I have a feeling that he has put something together that is going to be incredibly challenging. Speaking of the man that Frederick will analyze later, I believe that Peter Grant is in fact standing by. Rosie Tapner inside the ring with the man who's put the course together. Let's hear from him. Rosie Tapner, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Alongside me now, as you said, Peter Grant, the course designer. This looks like a whopping course though, Peter.
Definitely, it's a big, challenging course. I think that we've asked all the questions, but also think it's appropriate for the event, the group, and this arena. So, hoping for a very good competition.
It was a big day yesterday as well. Round 1 and round 2 were also big courses. Do you decide on that very late on? How early in advance of the competition are you deciding on these courses?
So we usually have the idea of the track and the questions coming in, and then you'll slowly migrate towards what you want to do for dimensions. And realistically, you have an idea, even when it comes in to set and check the courses, you have an idea, but it's right up until you've done your final check that's a little bit fluid. You have to trust your gut a little bit on what feels big, and yeah, make a judgment on where the horses were. And like you said, yesterday was big enough and tough enough jumping, so kind of try to take it all into account.
You designed this course today. Where do you think you might see the biggest problems?
Well, I hope it's balanced enough that there's no single spot, but I think the line into the triple combination, there's a delicate vertical there and a bit of a forward distance. So that question's always, the riders need to be accurate and create that stride length beforehand. So that's a tough question. There's an interesting line across the middle here. I think that's a bit of a half stride up to a short 7 with a wide oxer followed by a tall oxer, and the double line I think is interesting. So if I've done my job right, they'll all have a little bit of flavor, but not too spicy on any spot.
And lastly, Peter, just talking about the time as well, it's a big course. How hard will it be to get inside the time today?
I hope that, I think it's the type of course that they carry the canter. Yesterday, for sure, I think that I would have liked another second or two, but I think that we've got it dialed in for today, and I'm hoping for it should be there, but I think the course is enough, and as long as they don't dawdle, they'll make it.
Thank you so much, Peter. There really is something for everyone here today, Mark, but one thing's for sure, it's a big course.
Thank you very much, Rosie Tapner. Some thoughts for Peter Grant, the man who has designed this course, and I have a feeling that this is going to be really, really tricky for a lot of the riders. Interestingly enough, Frederick de Backer continues to stand by for us. Let's jump straight back to him. Frederick, one of the comments made from Peter Grant was that he hopes it is balanced enough, and I wonder your thoughts on that. Take us through what he has designed for us today in slightly more detail.
There is really a lot to talk about in this digital coursewalk, Mark. The coursewalk of this third Grand Prix of the season here in Mexico City. Plenty of material to discuss already now before the course and the Grand Prix has actually started. I want to draw your attention first to a few fences. First one is fence 5. This is a wall that hasn't been jumped so far. So this is a brand new fence coming in. Then fence 6, I'm working off the course plan here, and at the course plan it says that this fence, that oxer, is 1.70 meters wide. I repeat that once more, 1.70 meters wide. Another fence that I want to draw your attention to is a triple bar here at fence 12, so we're already fairly late into the course. Fence 12, pardon me, 2 meters wide. And fence 14, I want to draw your attention to. Why fence 14? Well, because normally we have a 13 fence Grand Prix course as a standard, as an average. And very rarely you see it happen in Madrid, if you remember well. But now here in Mexico City, Peter Grant has added that 14th fence. So that means high, wide and long, so you need a lot of power, and as Peter Grant already said, also quite the good eye. He starts with an interesting line from 3 to 4, which is positioned at 35.6 meters. That, if I have it right, that is a slightly forward 8 strides up to the upright. But if you see here how it begins already, he starts by asking you to open up your stride. But the question comes next, and this is the line that he just spoke about, from 5 to that 1.70 meter oxer. If you see there's a slight bend, if you follow the blue line, which now becomes wide, there's a slight bend in it. There is also an alternative to go straight. If you're straight, if you're on this line, you are done. You're caught, you're trapped at the base of the oxer, and the oxer is 1.70 meters wide. You need to get the shape, and then it's still a holding 7. From what I just heard from Peter Grant in the interview, I thought actually it was all a long 7 or a holding 8, but we'll see how that plays out. But this is going to be a crucial line, because next it seems that it's 7 strides. So everything will depend on how you will jump that wall. And then, is it a holding 7 or a holding 8? Just keep that in mind. But this line is going to prove very, very crucial. Just for the record, do not forget that everything, all the lines that go this way, for example, this line or this line, this is all uphill. The other lines, and mainly like this one, this is all downhill. There's a serious slope here on this track. Keep that slope in mind, especially at the end. Horses get a little bit tired. Horses get a little bit more on the forehand. And if you can't keep your balance there, if you're still clear and in time, just imagine that you would lose it over that 2 meter wide triple bar. The 5 strides into the combination, the balance on the forehand, and bing, there goes your front rail. Lots of jumping, Mark. 14 fences in total, and some really, really big castles in a city that is called the City of Palaces.
Oh, the City of Palaces, and Peter Grant asking all of the questions. Frederick de Backer, let me get this right. A 2 meter wide triple, a 1.7 meter wide at fence 6, plenty of verticals at over 1.6, and 14 fences designed to try and keep the riders out of the jump off in round 2. That is what Peter Grant has put together today for the Lgct Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of Mexico City. We take a break. When we return, more build up to today's Lgct Grand Prix.
Elegance is an attitude. Of course it is.
Welcome back to GCTV and welcome back to Mexico City. This is build-up for the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of Mexico City. And I believe we go straight into the ring. Rosie Tapner standing by with one of the big favorites, Ben Mayer, who'll be riding Point Break today. Let's hear from the Olympic champion. Rosie?
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Before we get to Ben Mayer, one of our favorites today, check out the mariachi band behind us. It's really creating such a brilliant atmosphere down here. It's a traditional music Mexican band, and it really is a fundamental element of the Mexican culture. And it's basically a small strolling band. And if we stroll over here, we will find Ben Mayer. Ben, we were just saying how you're on a 10-year-old Point Break. How are you feeling ahead of today?
Yeah, it feels good. It's a very hot day and it's a long course, so he's still new to this level and he's got to develop, but he's very, very talented, and hopefully we have a good day.
You've had a chance to look at the course. It is a big course. Where do you think the main challenges are going to be today?
It starts off quite nice, first 3-4 jumps, then it gets a little bit long, gets you drawn out across the middle, and then the first real, okay, they're all tests, but the first real test is probably the line tall vertical to the triple combination, and then everything comes up quick from there on in. Obviously the horse is getting a little bit quieter as the round goes on, and that will definitely affect some horses towards the end.
We often talk about it being big and technical, but this is a long course as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful ring here, a lot of atmosphere. But we have 14 jumps, I think, a double and a triple combination, so there's a lot of efforts, and it's important that we catch our breath before we come in today.
You're relatively early to go in the class. As a rider, do you watch people before you go? Are there certain riders that you like to watch?
I know my plan. It's always useful to watch a couple of people go just to gauge a little bit the size of the strides and the time allowed, but I don't think there's too many questions after the course walk. Sometimes you can have decisions to make, but I know my plan. I don't think it will change today.
Well, let's hope the plan goes according to plan. Ben, very good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rosie Tapner. Thank you, Ben Mayer. Some thoughts from him about what is going to happen with him and Point Break today. Is he going to be the favorite? Is he going to take the title? He was one of Frederick de Backer's favorites earlier on, along with a handful of other riders who may well be searching for today's Lgct Grand Prix of Mexico City title. Another person that we've really enjoyed getting to know, and perhaps the first impression, the first meeting of this young rider was back in Miami a couple of days ago, where we caught up with an exciting, a vibrant, an emotional young Frenchman by the name of Julien Acquetin. We decided to catch up with him again here in Mexico City to get to know who exactly is Julien Acquetin.
My name is Julien Acquetin. I'm a French rider. I'm 32 years old and I've been riding for 32 years. My father was a rider before, and yeah, I almost bought. My first competition was when I'm 9 years old.
And did you win?
Yeah, but yeah, I win. But we are just two in the class.
Am I right in saying that you don't have shoes on your horses? They're barefoot?
Yep.
Why are your horses barefoot?
It's a philosophy. All of my horses is barefoot right now. Yeah, I think it's the best for them.
It shows that actually, more importantly than the competition, you believe in the care in the horses comes first. How much do you care for those horses?
I love my horses because they give me a lot, so I want to do the maximum for them. I riding because I love the horse. It's the first. I love the horse, and I love competition also. So the mix of that is the good combination. I want a challenge because I think it's better to win from to the best for sure. I prefer win when Henrik van Eckermann is in the jumper for Julien Epaya.
There is no yellow, no red flag, so he's good for the time. He wiggles over the vertical like no other horse can jump that upright. Any other horse would take it down, but Blood Diamond Dupont is still clear, and Julien Acquetin is lightning fast in this first round of the Grand Prix. Final fence, Julien Acquetin lives up to the name.
Yeah, the emotion in Miami was crazy because it was my first podium in the global. So, and in my first season in the team in the global, so yeah, my first show of the year in the global. So yeah, it's a good starting, and yeah, my horse gave me a lot. So yeah, it was emotional. I jumped just with Farah this week because Blood did a lot last week, so I want to rest a little bit and manage for all of the season because it's a lot of show. My biggest dream is win one Global Champions Tour and doing the Super Grand Prix.
Getting to know Julian Akata a little bit better, already on the podium in Miami. Are we now going to see him on another podium here in Mexico City? The sun is out. You can see behind me how many people, in fact, are already on either side of me here, filling up on the outside ring. The tribunes here are completely full as well, and they are all waiting, hoping, and cheering for the Mexican riders, but of course, some of the world favorites as well. That if you are to look at the starting list, if you are to look at the 37 riders that are competing for today's Lgct Grand Prix of Mexico City, if you are to cast your eye down towards the bottom of the start list, as we see some beautiful aerial shots and the most gigantic Mexican flag you will ever see in your life hovering over this colorful, vibrant arena. If you are to cast your eye towards the back end of the start list, the last three riders to go, Marlon Bayard-Johnson, Richard Vogel and Dennis Lynch, who won both classes yesterday, by the way, in the Global Champions League. Dennis Lynch, double clear on two different horses, winning both classes, and the last man to go later on today on Brooklyn Heights. So if you're looking for a dangerous rider to look out for, right towards the end comes some real firepower. But take nothing away from Fernando Martinez Soma. He is flying high after a GCL win yesterday with the Prague Lions. And what about Carlos Hank Guerrero, the Mexican, who also jumped really, really well yesterday? He did have a fence down, but the amount of support that he received, the cheering from the fans that Carlos Hank Guerrero received yesterday, if he gets that energy behind him, it may well be a very, very difficult combination to try and stop. The course walk is coming to a close in a few moments' time. I believe we go back to Rosie Tapner for just a moment. Rosie, thank you for your time again. You've been there, you've been in the ring, you've been hearing what some riders have had to say. We've heard from Peter Grant and Frederick de Backer. It sounds like a lot of questions will be asked. What have you heard being said amongst the riders there today?
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I tell you what, the atmosphere in the arena is electric today, and you can really feel it amongst all of the riders here because the focus is super high. This is a really tough course. It's a long course as well. It's asking a lot of questions. So I've been speaking to a few of the riders, but they are in full focus today. And I have to say one thing that every rider has said, not just about the course, but about the atmosphere, is that they love it here in Mexico City. They love the atmosphere, they love the crowd, and they really feed off that as well. And I tell you what, with this big track that they're about to take on, they're going to really need to feed off that crowd, particularly those local riders as well, who I know will get a huge amount of support in this arena. But I tell you, the focus is high.
All right, thank you very much, Rosie Tapner. She is braving out in the sun. She's lost her sombrero. She had to give that back, by the way, because that is going to go to the top 3 place finishers later on today by the end of the Grand Prix. I am still going to try my best to get a sombrero in the studio here for Rosie and I, in fact. And just to remind you that we will be chatting to the winner later on today. We will bring today's Lgct Grand Prix winner into the studio. Rosie will catch up with 2nd and 3rd place. And we also will be keeping a very close eye on any championship stories. Does Eduardo Alvarez Asna hold on to the championship lead leaving Mexico City? Does he perhaps lose that lead? Who then becomes the new championship leader? We spoke about a few big names that are not going to be jumping today. No Lorenzo De Luca, no Michael Duffy, your winner in Miami last week. No Christian Alman, who despite qualifying for the Grand Prix has elected not to jump. So this opens up the window for the riders like Julian Akata, for the riders like Richard Vogel, Marlon Bayard-Johnson. We've been become accustomed to seeing Marlon and H&M Indiana at every single Lgct Super Grand Prix at the end of the season. That, by the way, this year is now being hosted in Riyadh. So, who then is going to take this second golden ticket, or this third golden ticket, I beg your pardon? Abdel Said, Michael Duffy, they already have theirs in the bag. Where is the ticket going to go? You will find out a little bit later on this afternoon. Make sure you have your GCTV live pass to watch every single moment of today's Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of Mexico City. It is up next. Stay with us here on GCTV for more.
Elegance is an attitude. Of course it is. Elegance is an attitude. Of course it is.
Welcome back to GCTV. We take a moment, just one final moment, to enjoy the crowd, appreciate everyone that has come out today. The sun is beaming. It is going to be very challenging for the riders and the horses to compete with this heat at altitude, and on top of that, with a very challenging course that has been designed by Peter Grant today. Frederik de Backer spoke about it, just how challenging this is going to be, and a wonderful reminder as to what is being designed at the Campo Marte here today. They are massive jumps, 2 meters wide, 1.7 wide, 14 fences to be jumped. It is going to be incredibly challenging, and only those that make it into today's jump off can really truly stand up and say that they conquered one of the toughest courses that we've seen thus far in the early stages of the season. That is what has been designed by Peter Grant. That is what Frederik de Backer has been chatting to us about and giving us an indication of just how tough things are going to be for the riders. I continue to remind you that behind me here in the grandstands, it is absolutely packed. There are kids on parents' shoulders trying to get a better view. In fact, even behind the cameras here, we have fans that have sat up on the wall trying to get a view of what is happening inside the Campo Marte today. That is how high the excitement is. That is how high the anticipation is for today's Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of Mexico City. We have 37 riders that are ready for today's race. 37 riders that are looking to compete for today's title. title, there will be only one winner and only one golden ticket that'll be handed out to give them an opportunity to get to the Super Grand Prix at the end of the season, to be hosted at the newly hosted playoffs in Riyadh later on this year. But that is all still to come down the line. For now, we stay focused on Mexico City and get ready for the first rider to make their way into the ring. Stay with us here on GCTV. Get your live pass activated and watch every single second, because the Lgct Grand Prix of Mexico City starts next. Okay, so
right handband is what follows next. 14 fences in this course, ladies and gentlemen, and that 14th fence is the flag of Mexico City, of the country that has welcomed us with arms wide open, and that is what it looks like. I see that the time allowed has been set at 78 seconds by Peter Grant, the Canadian. We'll have to see and wait how that is going to play out, and if the riders will be forced to leave out strides in those lines. And in fairness, we've had plenty of courses over the weekend with less length and with more time allowed, so that would mean that the time is going to play a role. As you can also see over the shoulders and heads over these crowds, you can also see there's lots of ornaments, there's lots of decoration in the ring that could also distract the odd horse. But in general, after these 4 days already, because this is the 4th day of jumping, you would expect that these horses and riders should be able to handle it. Billy Matador and Andreas Cao go first, and then there's the first of the Mexicans, Manuel Gonzalez Dufran. 40 riders have qualified, only 37 will compete. There's no Gaudiano, no Pascal Vega, and no Christian Alma, which is somewhat of a surprise. There, number 9, Katin Eckermann and Calamandia, championship leader, early to go. Eduardo Alvarez Aznar with Rockefeller de Pleville, and his runner-up straight behind him, that is Max Kühner. Quinley with Martin Vasquez is in the group. Libido van Hofke, the Canadian, only Canadian, it's Erin Bayard. And at the next base, there we have some interesting combinations as well. It is Fernando Martinez Sommer, the next Mexican, with Korbacher. Martinez Sommer, winner of the Global Champions League yesterday. H. Loquireto, top-rated horse. Same with Gigi Carmen, H.M. Indiana, Cepado Balubin, and at the end it is Dennis Lynch with Brooklyn Heights, who finished second here in 2022 when Mila and Ludwig Beerbaum claimed the top honors in a Grand Prix that should have been won by Dennis Lynch. 37 on the list, a break after number 19, after Thibaut Spitz, who jumped clear in the Miami Grand Prix, now with the same horse in this Mexico Grand Prix. The Longines Global Champions Tour Gran Premio de Mexico is the official title, presented by GNP Seguros, one of the big partners, big sponsors behind this event. GNP Seguros and Banorte have played a big role in the coming together of this Longines Global Champions Tour at stage 3. At some points it was actually the other way around. You had first Mexico and then Miami. Now we first had Miami and then traveled here to Campo Marte. In Europe, those are called umbrellas to keep you dry from the rain. Here in Mexico City, it's or sombreros or a sun cover, sun shield. It's just over 25 degrees. There's a little breeze, and Andreas Cao has a worried look on his face. With Billy Matador, he comes in. Last year was a fantastic season for the Dane, as he jumped 3 clear rounds on 3 different horses. I know, Billy Matador and on Dark Deluxe. That gave him his first podium in Madrid, his second one in Rome, and that allowed him to compete in the Longines Global Champions Tour Super Grand Prix, at that point held in Prague. The Super Grand Prix is going to be held in Riyadh this year for the playoffs. What is a Super Grand Prix? Well, every Grand Prix has one winner, and that winner goes to the Super Grand Prix, meaning that Michael Duffy and Abdel Said, the 2 winners from the first 2 stages from Doha and Miami, they are qualified for that Super Grand Prix. And here we'll have another one that can take part in a very exclusive 1.25 million Grand Prix at the end of the season in the Saudi capital. Billy Matador, 10-year-old, by Billy Mexico and Animo, owned by the Scow Absolute horses. the stable of Andreas and Christian Skau. GNP Seguros as the first fence. Tied around, didn't waste any time there. 8 strides. And he adds a stride already, comes on 9 to the Liverpool. Now the next line gets interesting. They haven't jumped this wall yet. And the 7 are long because it's a 1.70 m long wide oxer. And these 7 are a little bit more normal. It's not the biggest striding horse. He'll need to ride up into the triple combination that comes next. Palacio de Hierro on 6, and now 2 strides, 1 stride out. Andreas Skau, time allowed, as we mentioned, is, oh, it's 87 seconds. That has been corrected. There was an update. It's 87 now. And Skau, the plank comes down on the 4 strides early. He came down with the hind leg. Triple bar stretches over that one and gets a little bit strongish into the line, loses that balance. And at 13A, there's an extra rail now for Andreas Skau, who does make the time allowed look very easy. There you have it, 79.14. So I do wonder if there was a mix-up maybe with the time allowed in what we mentioned first and what we mentioned after. I had 78 at first, and it was altered to 87. So maybe there was some...
So that is a sneak peek as to what to expect throughout the rest of the afternoon from the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of Mexico City. Andreas Skau and Billy Matador, the first rider in the ring. And as you can hear, the energy around the arena picking up. That's because Manuel Gonzalez, the Mexican, is coming in. If you want to watch the rest of the Lgct Grand Prix of Mexico City, get your GCTV Live Pass and join us for today's Lgct Grand Prix. It's live on GCTV.